But physically, we can change very quickly. What comes along with that is the head and the heart. And so that gratitude comes in, that joy comes in.
Hi, Beth.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
Great
I'm
to see
so
you, Laurette.
excited to have you here on
Thank
Owning
you.
Your Legacy.
Thank you for having me.
So I'd love you to start with your amazing story that I'm sure you tell so many times, but it's such a great story of how you got started into Simplicity Juices.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I started because I had fertility issues, and I was just a young gal living here in Chicago, doing my thing, and loved life. And I knew that my husband and I would be having children. And so we had one with no problem at all. Mm-hmm. And then we had a miscarriage and another miscarriage. And my friends were saying, you need to go to a fertility specialist, because I was already, 34, 33 years old. And so I went to Northwestern and started the typical, 6 IUIs, 9 IVFs, 2 additional IVFs with a surrogate. And now I'd been to the circuit of fertility doctors. And I was down in Chinatown getting bloodletting, as you do.
I've done that.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a believer. I have my own little pen that I can use and I learned about it from, I was in Taekwondo with my boys.
Yeah.
Many years ago, dark blue belt, and pulled a muscle in my thigh, and my master, the Taekwondo guy, he's like, "Come here," and he had this little pen thing, and then he suctioned the blood. Didn't hurt at all, and I was healed. I'm like, that is amazing. So he got me one, and my son that played football used it all the time on plantar fasciitis. So I'm a believer in the blood thing.
So this 8th generation acupuncturist starts taking out my blood, and she said, your blood's too thick. That's why you don't have a baby. And I was like, oh, damn it. Because my very first fertility appointment was 5 years previously at Northwestern. There was a free magazine. So I'm looking through it, and here is 2 pictures of blood. I know nothing about blood, but one is pretty and one is ugly. Yeah. And I want the pretty blood.
Yes.
I want nothing to do with the ugly blood, but you have to change your diet and lifestyle. Okay. Oh, no, thank you. Yeah. So I closed that magazine, pushed it away, went to Starbucks, went to Twin Anchors, and, that was my life. And so then I'm like, dang. So I remember that immediately when she said that. I found that doctor. He's out in the suburbs. And I started going there, and I cried angry tears. The first day I was there, and I was there for 6 hours. And you have to repeat certain things as a mantra, even if you didn't agree with them. This is starting this program. And what they, in essence, do is clean out your colon. And it does take, 30 days, 15 sessions. So it's not like a one-time
So you're there every other day,
yes,
pretty much for a month.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And if you thought fertility treatment was expensive.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And we did lymphatic drainage, but then you're drinking these live juices. And I'm a horrible cook. Horrible.
Me too.
Oh my gosh. I made people vomit from my cooking.
Oh boy.
And so
I just burn everything.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm with you. So thank God, Sean is so patient and so kind. And
is he a good cook? So Sean is Beth's husband that I work with a lot too. So
yes, he's a great cook. He's so patient. Yeah. And because we're in the Whole Foods section, I'm going, oh, this is gluten-free. This is gluten-free. He goes, didn't say calorie-free. I'm like, oh, okay. So now starting this new lifestyle, but really just started feeling better. Good. After my first colon hydrotherapy treatment, I just kept saying, I can breathe. I can breathe. And I couldn't believe I felt so good. And I just kept that up. And within a week or two, I started thinking, you know what? I need to just be grateful for what I do have and not this goal of I wanted a baby and I want it now. Right. But I grew up hearing, I feel like, God's voice saying, you're going to have these special children. And they didn't say child.
Right.
And so I was extremely driven to get that. But through the cleaning of my colon and the juices.
And I think your attitude, I mean, you do hear that a lot with women, that once they kind of relaxed or didn't push so hard for it, that babies happened. I think that probably was a big part too of just, and being grateful for what you have.
Yeah. And that was said to me a lot. And I kind of resented it.
I would imagine.
Because
you have to get there yourself.
Yes. And two, you're like, oh, just relax. And and I'm like,
easier said than done.
Yeah. And, but I just felt so good.
After the month, sorry to interrupt you, but after the month, then how often did you have to go back? Is it kind of like that intensive month and then less?
It depends on you, because after that month, I was pretty in great shape, that my colon, my organs were now moving, because our organs are supposed to move a football field a day, and previously mine were just stuck. And so after that month, I kept up with it because I felt so good. Now, I didn't have to do the colon hydrotherapy as much, but I kept that up. But physically, we can change very quickly. What comes along with that is the head and the heart. Yeah. And so that gratitude comes in, that joy comes in, and it was just magical. And I remember I was driving down the Kennedy and the Killers came on, and I just felt so free. And I let that burden go. And I was talking to my cousin, Maureen, and she didn't even recognize my voice.
Wow.
It's because, and I was like, okay. And then, but I just kept up the lifestyle because I felt so good. And then I just thought, well, gosh, I'm detoxing so much. I'm just not getting my period. How weird is that?
Right.
And then...
that is so funny. That was your first thought.
I know.
That's funny.
I know. Yeah. And then finally I thought, well, gosh, I do have a pregnancy test. I'll just take that. But I got up in the morning doing my cleansing, doing what my thoughts. And I thought, well, I'll just go pee on that stick really quick. And so peed on the stick. But in the old days, I would be praying on the stick. Oh my gosh. Ooh.
Put in the Good Witch vibes, in which we got to talk Good Witch. So don't let me forget that. But I want to hear more of your stuff that you do.
And then I just went about doing my things, and I came back, and whoa, there's the 2 lines. And so I woke Sean up, and it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I called my mother, wake up! And it was 4:15 where they're at. And so then I was the first one in line at 7 o'clock in the morning at the fertility clinic. And I'm like, look at this. What's this?
Look what I did.
She's like, how do you know what that is? I'm like, okay. And, we did a blood test. But Sean had worked at WXRT
so cool.
So long.
How cool to work at WXRT.
So cool.
Wow.
And Terry Hemmert is one of their disc jockeys, and she is one of the most renowned people on Beatles that there could be. And I thought, I've heard every Beatles song ever made.
Ever.
But I hadn't. And I got in my car, and there was the song Blackbird. Take these broken wings and learn to fly.
Oh, that's a tearjerker.
You have always waited for this moment to arise. And I just got goosebumps again. But I was like, oh my. And I knew, because when we are in this healthy state, we can receive more gifts and more messages that we're being sent. And I knew there would be no miscarriages. I knew everything was fine. And I just was like, I can't believe it. I couldn't believe it, but because we didn't try.
Right.
And so we had a healthy little baby boy at 39 years old. And then the fertility doctors were like, oh, this is your miracle. This is your miracle. And I had honestly thought I would have a daughter named Nellie. And through these spiritual guides that I saw throughout, they said, you already have them. They're up there. And so you can talk to them. And so one day I just said, all right, Nellie, love you forever. If you want to come down, now's the time. If not, love you forever. And honest to God, I went to the doctor for the pill because I thought it's time to shut this down now.
Right.
And I went to get it filled, and they didn't have that in that day. I was like, how bizarre is this?
That's really weird.
They said, come tomorrow. I said, all right.
See, these are signs.
I forgot to go the next day. I was going to go the next day, forgot. And then my mother's birthday, her name's Margaret, and her birthday's 8/8. Her mother is Nellie. And Sean was making like salmon. And I just didn't feel like eating it, but I just wanted a glass of milk and felt weird. I thought, this is weird. And so I went up. I had one pregnancy test left, took it, and I was like, and I was 42 years old.
Wow.
And had not tried. Even Sean said, like, is that mine? I'm like, yes, it is.
That is so funny.
And so sure enough, we had, and I knew immediately. I'm like, it's Nellie. It's Nellie. And so when they did the ultrasound to say boy or girl, and they said, girl, I said, it's Nellie.
That is
and so
amazing.
Nellie came out, and she is a buster.
Yeah.
She's a buster. And
meant to be here. So meant to be here.
Absolutely. And so then we moved to Indianapolis because now we had all these children.
Yeah.
And that's closer to my family, closer to Sean's family. And I just thought, where am I going to get my colon hydrotherapy? Where am I going to get my juices, my food? Because here in Chicago, there's so many different places to go. And so I was like, dang. So I thought, well, I'll just do it myself.
I'll just open up
open up a little medical facility for colon hydrotherapy, even though I really know very little about it. And so I opened up a little medical place in a medical building, went to Arizona, got trained, an internship.
And I'm sure with your personality and your style, you make people feel very comfortable. That's part of it.
It is, because it is such a mental, emotional issue that, I hid for 6 months in the office trying to come up with slogans or websites or this and that. And it wasn't until I was photographed, but I thought in my very favorite shirt, which had these vegetables on it, and that I don't even know what it said, like getting fresh or something.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God, that's my favorite shirt. And so when it came in, the girl I work with, she said, oh my God, that is the ugliest sweater I've ever seen. Did they make you wear that? And but I grabbed a Sharpie marker and I put a big mustache on my face and put a little horns on my head in the picture and just started sending that out. And from that point on, I just laughed. Yeah. And hopefully made people relaxed and laughed, and it's okay, and we're all there together. It's unbelievable, the head, heart, gut connection.
Yeah.
And but then I just felt like the clients were doing so well, but they didn't know what to eat or drink. And so then I just thought, well, I'll make some of my juices, because I'd already become a raw food chef and other modalities.
So now you're a chef, even though
wow. Yeah, I'm a raw food chef. So nothing with cooking.
Yeah.
But I just started bringing.
And where do you learn how to be a raw? Where did you go?
You go to school. You go to school. There's California has a great school. New York has a great school. Chicago has some schools. So I mean, there's a lot of places. And I just love raw food. It's not everything, and I don't think one modality is everything. It's not all or nothing. It's just small little bits that create the lifestyle that we want.
When did you decide to take it big?
Well, one, I don't know if it's big.
Yeah.
It's not as
Never
big as
big
I
enough.
want.
Never big enough.
Well, Sean actually dragged me down to a little grocery store in our area. It's called Safeway, different than the Safeway out west. And I was so mad at him. I was so mad, bitching up a storm as we went. He had set up an appointment with the owner and the manager. And I just felt like I wasn't ready. And
he pushed you out of your comfort zone. I hate it when people do that.
I wasn't ready. And the owner was like, oh, yes, let's get this in here. Let's try it. And the manager was like, yeah, this will sell. Because this grocery store has anything from food stamps to people that drive Bentleys. And so it's a wide gamut. And the manager was like, this is a joke. And I was like, and I knew that's what he thought. I knew that's what he thought. And at that time we had a 16-ounce juice, and so it was $8.99. And so, all right, we went in, we brought everything in, and that month they sold 400 juices.
Wow.
And the grocery store was 30 years old. They have never had a bigger ring. They've never had more revenue. They have never had people requesting the product more. It was just unbelievable. And
That's huge.
I just thought,
if I could do this here.
Yeah, maybe we could do it at other places. And so
Did you ever thank Sean for pushing you out of your comfort zone?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. No, thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
But then I just felt, too, I'm very unknown. And so how do I capitalize on no marketing budget, no advertising budget? No one knows who I'm at. And Sean does hate when I say this, but I kind of say it a lot. I wanted brand on brand orgasm. And so there is a great restaurateur in our area, and she's been nominated for the Robert Beard so many times. And I thought, well, if I could get in there, because people read the New York Times, they're reading the Wall Street Journal. There's 5 different cafes. Cafe Patachu, if you know of that, in Indy.
I don't know that.
But it went in there, and from there, then I said, well, I'm with Cafe Patachu. Oh, because the owner is Martha Hoover, and she is, she's incredible. She's tough. She's a lawyer as a background. She is good ingredients, great quality. I mean, she just is a very different restaurateur and amazing. And so
you've been really good from what I've read and seen on getting amazing influencers in your life.
I've been so lucky.
I love watching you on Instagram and where you are and Super Bowl, and oh my God.
Amazing what you can do without a budget.
Wow.
Because I don't
Talk
have.
about it. So you really just approached her.
Yes,
how
it was a cold call.
Wow.
I stalked the office.
That's brilliant.
And one person let me in. And so then it led to that, and then one thing led to another. And, I was very lucky with the football players. One of the people that I helped out with the colon area, he says it drastically changed his life. And so I was kind of his gal.
His guru,
Well, yeah. And then he just runs these huge VIP tailgaters for many NFL cities. And so he takes it to the Super Bowl. He goes to the Masters. He goes this. And I'm very, very fortunate that I can go along for the ride.
Yeah.
And so it's been a blast. And so all we try and do is sample people.
It's really good stuff.
Thank
it really
you.
is. It's
Thank you.
Very
Thank
fresh
you.
tasting. And
Thank you.
And you're not, and yeah, I think it's interesting that you say I'm not a chef, but you're really good at blending the flavors so nicely. So even though you don't cook, you've got a good palate.
You know what? I always say I'm a selfish bitch, and I will only drink what I like. And so this is what it was about. Because when I was going through all of my fertility stuff, I would drink a $15 8-ounce something that I bought, and it'd make me want to throw up. Yeah. And so when I have a very Irish Catholic family. And so I said, I make my juices, I want to make them like we're bartenders.
Right.
I want to make them light. I want to make them like I don't have to drink my juice with a fork.
Yeah.
And so I just went with what I wanted. And so I don't want to juice every day.
Right.
And so, so I just lucked out.
Very cool. I want to jump back a little bit to fertility issues, because as you were talking about that, all I could think of was the emotion. How did you guys handle going through that emotion so many times of miscarriages? And it just sounds so heavy. And to stay together, and to stay united.
For us, and I can't speak for Sean,
right?
But I do all the time anyway. So he kind of shut it down, and he's like, "It will happen when it happens." And I was definitely the emotional one. And I remember saying to him one time, "Gosh, I can't believe all this money we're spending on this." And he goes, "I can't imagine anything better to put our money towards." And I'm like, "Oh,
that's beautiful."
But he kind of wasn't very emotional about it.
It must be, And I had a sister that lost a baby full term. That was the saddest thing I've ever witnessed. And my sister was amazingly strong through it. And another one that had a miscarriage. But I've never gone through that myself. But I can only imagine it's harder on the woman. You know, you're the one connected for whatever length of time.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, my last one was, I think, the worst. We were at 20 weeks, felt great, saw the heartbeat every single week. And, there was a spot in there where I remember Sean taking me out, and I could not comprehend. And I really didn't comprehend for 24 hours. They knew the baby would miscarriage, but they didn't know when. And that was really hard for me. I'm just going to be doing the laundry when their last heartbeat? I'm going to be up getting a sip of water, or I'm going to be over here? I won't know when that baby has the last heartbeat. And that just crushed me. And that was really hard. But honestly, and I don't talk about this that often, but since we're going here.
Exactly.
That night, we were sleeping, and I woke up, and I could not move anything. It was like I was paralyzed. And I did feel 3 spirits in the room, and I couldn't move. I was trying to move. I couldn't move, not even a hair. I couldn't move. And even Sean was right next to me. I couldn't move. I couldn't say anything, but I knew we were 3 very evil spirits. And they were coming there because I was in despair. And I relied on my old Catholic Irish upbringing and just, Hail Mary, full of grace, and I just kept repeating it. And I was awake a long time, and they started dissipating because I was praying. But I made a decision: I will never be in despair again.
Wow.
There's so many wonderful things happening, even though I didn't have the babies that I wanted. I didn't have, I was losing this baby. I was this and that. And I thought, I will never be in despair again.
That's huge.
And because what I decided to put us through, mostly myself, I look back at this age and be like, oh, that's kind of silly.
Yeah.
And so,
and look how many people you've helped since.
I've been very, very, very fortunate, and it's been a incredible journey, but it's a journey for me of joy, because people are very obsessed with health. They're either really obsessed with it or not obsessed with it. And the people that are really, really obsessed with health, think or several of them, just a couple things. And there's a whole array of things that can be done for a person. And, but I always say, we're all going to die.
Right.
There's the big thing. We're all going to die, but it's how we're living, how we're living right now, how we're living. Like, are we engaged? Am I engaged with my child who comes home and tells me, or am I on the phone, or am I doing this, or am I doing that? And, the girlfriends or parents or siblings, or, are you engaged? Do you have joy by yourself? Just taking a walk or listening to music, or, whatever it is. Joy.
Being in the moment.
Yeah. And so for me, this journey has all been about joy. And, every moment it's not joyful.
Right.
But, because we have mortgages to pay, we've got to get the oil change in the car. There's life, but there's also joy. And so it has been a joy, and I am very grateful.
And to shine the light on the joy, and I think that when you were talking about the despair part, it's like, it's where you shine your light. And not letting that despair get you. And that was really interesting, very symbolic story.
I think it gave me a perspective of why people can fall deeply into...
That's what I was thinking as you were saying it. Into darkness and into depression, or into... Yeah,
because...
It's right there knocking on the door,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We're not doing it to ourselves. There's I believe there are other factors going on in the vibration of other things. And the more good vibration we bring in.
That seems like a really good segue into good witch stuff. So tell
Tell me about the good witch.
Well, I think you are definitely a good witch because it's just the believing in spiritual and manifesting. And so what are some, you've talked a little bit, obviously praying. And so what are some of the rituals that you like that kind of keep you in that light?
If ever I'm really, really down, I will just, ask for help, because I think there is a great amount of help on the other side that we don't call on. And that's one of my lessons throughout this journey is, when I would be sitting that first 6 months in the office there thinking, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I wanted to be almost perfect. I wanted to give the perfect situation, the perfect this, the perfect marketing thing, the perfect this, that, perfect. I won't do anything until it's perfect. And what I realized is, we're not alone.
Right.
I can't do everything perfectly. And I have to laugh at myself. And it was one of the most magical moments because, oh my God, I felt so light. I didn't have to carry around doing all of these things. Oh, you know what? I'm a terrible cook. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that. I'm not degrading myself. I'm like, these are the areas I ask for help in. Right. And so it's been incredibly a great connector because now I can ask for help.
Yeah.
And people help me, or they can ask me for help and I help them. And that's been amazing. And to laugh at ourselves too. It brings in so much joy.
And to not take it so seriously. I think that's huge. And we just did vision boarding with my team for this Owning Your Legacy, like kind of coming up with like, what is the purpose? What is the vision? And one of the values that we came up with is you're not alone. And it was with the footprints prayer, where I think I believe that's so true. I've always loved Lion King.
Absolutely.
I think of it a lot. I know that there's definitely ancestors helping.
Oh, yes. Yes. And I really think that I ask for help. I ask for help. And sometimes too, I'll just repeat in my mind, if I haven't been as grateful, just gratitude. When I fall asleep at night, just gratitude. And, please shift my attitude in the morning or,
Do you do angel cards? Do you have any?
I love angel cards. I love angel cards.
So what one did you get?
I got a pyramid. And I got a past life.
Yeah, those are really fun.
Those are amazing. Yeah. And I love to do them because I think they're all messages. And two, it's being on a higher vibration of health. Yeah. You can connect with someone, if you're opening the door for someone or someone's opening the door for you and your eyes connect, you just go, oh, yeah. There's like a spark.
Past life. Maybe I knew you in a past life.
Totally. Or there's a genuine smile or a genuine bond between you, and off you go. And, those just
and how
moments.
do you influence your kids in any way? Like having them do angel cards? Sometimes I make mine do it, but they're like, yeah, Mom.
Yes. Margaret and I do. We've done a lot. The other one is not so much. Yeah. And, they are very much individuals. And so Margaret loves them.
So what were some of the biggest obstacles or even current obstacles that you've had to deal with in starting this business?
I will definitely say, I don't know if it's the environment or if it's me, but in the food industry,
yes,
in the grocery stores, it's very male dominated.
Oh, yeah.
Back to, you've got to laugh. Can't take things too seriously. I had a company I was buying juicing equipment from. And I said you had to have the accessories for them because they don't work without the accessories. And so I think I was paying like $5,000. And this guy just jacked me around no, we sold it for $18,100. And I'm like, well, we kind of have a contract. We have a time, we have a date, we have a contract. And so, oh yeah, we do. So have your movers come. And I'm like, okay. So I sent a little gal from my office down there. And I said, this place is as big as a college campus. You're not going to see this guy. But of course, they don't have the accessories. And finally, hours later, I had to go down there and we looked and they threw them out.
Wow.
And so I said, well, the accessories are like $1,800. I'll just take it off the check. And for whatever reason, it went all the way up to their board of directors, which was meeting that day. And so they had me on a conference call with their board of directors and saying I better leave the check and take the equipment, or else. And I'm like, or else what? And then the CFO got so mad, I'm coming to see you right now, and hung up the phone. And then 2 big black SUVs started coming down this pathway. And I thought, oh my God.
They're going to come take me away.
I know. And so I said to my little gal, well, you better get in your car. And to the movers, I'm like, get in your truck right now. And so he had 2 enormous bodyguards with him and got in my face and was like, you better take the equipment or leave the check and da-da-da-da right away. You've got 4 minutes to decide. What are you going to do? And I just was like,
wow.
He got so angry. And I just was, And he goes, what are you going to do? I'll go, you gave me 4 minutes. So I'm thinking about it.
I'm taking all of my 4 minutes.
And then I finally, I'll take the equipment. You can have the check, just as long, you guys absolutely are breaking this contract. And you know what? That's on you. It's not worth it.
Right.
But it was really interesting. I won't stand down. And
especially when you know you're right.
Right. Yeah. Like I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes.
And how about with retailers? So I bet that's really interesting to get into the grocery store.
It's very interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. And, I had another challenge where, this guy loved me until he hated me because I wasn't doing what he wanted. And I was like, hey, this is my business. I'm trying to expand it so more people can drink juice. And, just did not like that. And so fired me from a huge distribution company. I went to another distributor that they did not currently call on these particular stores.
So there wasn't conflict.
Right. And apparently there was. I was not aware of it. My employee wasn't aware of it. We were just at their place. They didn't say anything about it. And I think I hurt his feelings. And, but, it wasn't.
But then you talk about it.
Right. And so, that's been hard and it's really held me back in business. And, I just have to keep working around it. And you just got to keep going. You just have to keep going no matter what happens. And right now, we survived COVID.
Yeah.
And I knew the worst was coming in the transportation area.
And that's got to be huge for you.
It has hit. It is so hard. It's so hard. And
because there's no drivers. I mean, talk about what's happening there.
Refrigerated truck.
Oh, yeah.
Drivers. And
expensive as heck.
So expensive.
Yeah. And gone way up.
Oh, I used to bring
triple.
a pallet down from Chicago for $100. Now it's $1,200.
Wow.
And I am like, so you have to keep going and figure out a way around this and juice differently to group your juicings together.
Closer to your end location.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. But it's just been tricky because I would like to just create juice.
Right.
I don't want to deal with an employee that's watching a dead body on her hours rather than working or
that's a good segue. Let's talk a little bit about employees. That is so fun. So how you find good people, what are some of the things that you, like you just said, I want to just juice. Like what brings you joy in your business? And what are some of the things you're like, I would love to shed this part of my business to somebody else?
How long do you have? No,
yeah.
I find learning and doing new things fascinating and fun, but like the logistics part of it, I feel like I've been there. I've embraced it. I get it. I would prefer not to do it.
Yeah.
Because it is
That makes
so
sense.
challenging.
That's not really a value add where you,
Right.
Beth Smith, adds value. I think that's a good idea.
Well, and two, you have, one truck is 18 pallets. And so we don't have 18 pallets going to all of these retail outlets. And so that is challenging, and that's really, really hard. I love to sell.
Seems like that's exactly where you should be.
Get me in a room with people, with, whether it's at the grocery store, whether it's at the gym, whether it is in front of buyers, get me in front of people. Mm-hmm. And that's what I can do. I haven't found a natural fit for the business side of it. Mm-hmm. And that is where I struggle. Where do I find good people? I was hoping you would tell me.
I think that is going to be a pivotal moment, though, when you do find the people that let you go do what you do amazingly well.
Yes. But after 12 years, I'm looking for that pivotal moment. Yeah. Because I do find also that food companies are run by finance people. Mm-hmm. They're not run by food people. And so that is an interesting thing. I need a finance person.
So do you think, on that note, do you think you would ever sell?
To me, the cold pressed juice category has gone from a pure juice down to a watered down puree. And the price reflects that. And the quality reflects that. And so it's a completely different category than it started out being. So I would say Naked and Pepsi, they're doing their thing. Coca-Cola, Suja, doing their thing. I think it will could be a good food company that has the ingredients already on their many, many farms that they produce watermelons and they produce apples. So it could be a producer. It could be an alcohol company.
Your alcohol. So how is the alcohol one doing? It's new. It's a new release for you.
Yes. Well, it's interesting because the typical alcohol distribution, there's 3 levels to it. The manufacturer, then we sell to a spirit distributor. The spirit distributor sells to the retail. Okay. None of us can sell to the consumer except for retail. And so you have to go through these different levels to get to the consumer. And so no one distributes alcohol cold. And this is a cold pressed cocktail. So we had to make up our own distribution company, which is called Smitty Spirits.
Cute. Oh, I love that.
And I can't own any of it because I'm the manufacturer.
Gotcha.
And so with the cocktails, I love the Fresh Air, which is just apple, lemon, ginger. And being Irish Catholic, and I always say I own a cold pressed juice company, but my favorite beverage is bourbon. Yeah. So it just made sense. When you take a taste of that, you're like, oh, this would be great with bourbon. Ooh. And so that all just accumulated together and then, oh, this would be great with vodka. Oh, this would be good with tequila. Mm-hmm. And so then that led into, I was already working with a lot of professional athletes and whatnot. And so then it went perfectly with the tailgates and whatnot.
Oh, right.
And so
perfect.
Then we got our license and permit to sell. And so we practiced to make sure it was legal. We practiced at the Market District down in Indianapolis, in Carmel. And it's been going like a son of a bitch ever since.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
So who owns Smitty's then?
Sean.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That is great.
But he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But it runs
it's
itself.
Under his, right, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Like the licensing has to be.
Yes. And then Smitty's leases out cold trucks and cold space so that it is legal.
Wow. Brilliant. What a trailblazer you are. I mean, to have to go through every step and figure out, okay, we can solve this. We'll solve this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And my goal is to get into stadiums because it is an easy one-stop drop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine how many cocktails you would have at the Taylor Swift concert?
So kind of on that note, of just even the challenges of the industry, the food industry, and it being so, male dominated and almost cliquish. I mean, we run into similar issues of, we call it preferred vendor, where the big flavor companies get all the attention at the big, large consumer packaged good companies.
Right.
So what do you think the legacy is that we in the industry right now, what can we do? What can we do to help this industry as leaders?
Well, one, I want to say thank you, because I think you're already doing that.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, huge, huge, huge. You're already doing that. You're taking products that aren't necessarily milk, and you're flavoring them. And you know what? The bottom line is, it's all about people's tastes. And people's tastes are as different as their DNA. And so whatever we can flavor that is more ideal to people's palates, I think it's the huge ball of wax. And I think if we have the good ingredients with the flavoring, I think it would make a massive, massive change, and it is making a change in the food industry. I wish we could get rid of some of the really hurtful ingredients, but I think flavor companies at Long can come in and make such a difference, because I taste a lot of great things that you send, and you're like, Shazam! Why isn't this happening? Instead of the really hurtful ingredients. And so I think everyone should be relying heavily on great flavoring and changing the industry.
Some of the stuff that I love that we do, especially in Mexico, where disposable income for families can be really non-existent. So the companies that we work with make milk that's analog milk, so it's cheaper. I mean, it still has the nutrients of milk, but it might be cut with a little water, so to speak, so to make it. And then we flavor that. But even helping children get nutrition that their families can afford, and making it taste good that they're going to drink it.
Absolutely.
I love that kind of stuff. Gets me excited.
Absolutely. Just like a good lemonade.
Yeah.
Instead of a sugar.
Yes.
Put
yes.
a flavoring. I mean, and I think it would be huge. And, we have this lean elixir, and, people are very afraid of it because of the color. And there's black specks all throughout it because that's seaweed. And so kids don't want to drink that.
Yeah.
And so I put, for kids, I put cacao in there for them, because we have a lot of parents that come to us, my child has cancer, or my child has this or that. And we're like, you know what? Take this, put cacao in it.
Wait, we're going to do a tasting sheet.
Yeah. But put cacao in it, make it so their eyes, that's appealing to them, and a flavor that they like. And even I take, sometimes strawberries that you buy, sometimes they just suck. Yeah. They're just not very flavorful. So I'll put stevia water over it, and it just gives it the right flavoring. And so, there's so many things that I think flavoring companies can do, and I think they should do, and I think food companies should listen to, and I think it can change everything.
You hear a lot of, I've heard people that eat vegan or vegetarian, they have such a hard time finding protein.
Right.
There's a lot of plant-based, but it's but we need the protein. And that's a big part of what we do, is trying to mask that or make it, edible.
Yes.
Because protein it's chalky and really in mouthfeely. So
yeah. I love that because that's where they need the help. So
that's good.
Love it.
So Beth, where can we get your products?
Thank you for asking, Laurette. So here in Chicago, at every single Mariano's.
Nice.
I love Mariano's.
Great store. And
because it's Kroger owned, there is Kroger pricing. So it is really low. I think it's $4.99 or $5.99. $4.99 sale. And but then in Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, it's at Kroger, the Market Districts, Fresh Time.
Congratulations.
Whole Foods. Thank you.
That could not have been easy to get these major retailers.
Easy. No,
right?
I've been very lucky.
You've been very lucky.
Very lucky. And
so you are this is big.
Yeah, I don't take no for an answer, but I gotta keep pushing. I gotta keep pushing, and it's hard to get.
So what
the
is
word out.
next for you? Like, we talked about, selling. That's definitely. But what do you see next?
I want to get the juices into Whole Foods Chicago, Midwest.
Yeah.
I want to be. Have you seen Fresh Pet?
No.
It is the refrigerator in the pet food aisle.
Okay.
So all of the pet food, all the
dry
cat food
usually.
is dry. It's in can, it's in bags, and there's one refrigerator in that pet food section.
This could be a market for us.
I want to be
'Cause I bet it's
the
gourmet.
cocktail. I want to be the refrigerated cocktail in the booze section.
Ooh. That is very cool.
So, and I would love it to be at Whole Foods. And so you go in Whole Foods, you get your wine or beer, and then you've got the cold pressed cocktails there as well.
That's brilliant. So you just have to talk them into getting refrigeration space, right?
We can buy that.
Yeah.
We can buy that for them. And I would love to do that.
So what is the legacy you want to leave behind?
The message that I heard when I was a child growing up was always, you're going to have these special children.
Yes.
And then after Nellie was born, I thought,
Now I'm done.
yeah.
Now what?
What's the next message? What is the next message? And the message came is to serve others. And so I hope that I can serve others and invite joy in, just to invite joy in. It doesn't have to be simplicity. When people change their diet, more purified water, more fruit and vegetables,
Right.
less guilt, less fear, shame. And that's one of the things I can't stand in our society. There's so much guilt, fear, and shame.
Well, and growing up as Catholics, as we both did, that's the basis.
Yes,
You just start at guilt and then you go from
yes. Pour on some extra heat of that. And,
It's hard to shake that one.
It is. But, we have to, I think, sit back, realize it's not serving me.
No.
And it's not serving the people around me. So we have to learn to shake that off. Taylor.
Yeah. Little link to Taylor.
And forgive ourselves.
I love that.
And in my fertility journey, I finally was able to forgive myself of everything, whether it's dumb stuff. Well, it's not dumb stuff because I was mean to my sister growing up. And, I have to forgive myself. And there are other things that I think.
How many siblings do you have?
2.
That's pretty small for Irish Catholic family.
Oh, it is. It is. My mother was the runt of the litter.
Yeah.
But,
And your sister was younger?
older.
Oh, and you were mean to
15 months.
And you were mean to her? Wow. It usually goes the other way.
I'm the middle.
The middle. Yeah, middle's tough.
Yeah. But just forgive ourselves everything and start fresh every day. Yeah. And, there's a purpose for each of us, every single one of us. And when I work with people, some of them are sad and they're crying. And I said, you're perfect just the way you are.
Exactly.
Just the way you are. I don't care if you ate 2 sleeves of an Oreo cookies, the double stuffed.
Yes. You needed it that day.
Yes. And
that's okay.
let it go. Who cares? Moderation. And
I totally agree. And I think talking to Mary Wagner, my Starbucks friend yesterday, and I was she was presenting at a conference, and there was a heckler in the audience heckling about Starbucks Frappuccino and, how unhealthy it, and she handled it so well. I would have been like, I would not have handled that well if it was me. But we all need ice cream once in a while. Exactly.
Absolutely.
You need the indulgence, you need the healthy, you need.
Yes. Yeah. And not to, I don't count calories and carbs and all the other things. It's just feed your body what it needs.
Right.
Because when we feed our body what it needs, it will work for us. And I've seen it every single time. Don't feed your body what it needs and then start again tomorrow.
Right. Exactly. And I think with the guilt, when you were talking about that, a wise woman told me to quit saying mother guilt and say mother want. I loved that. I want to be with my kid. You know what I mean? Instead of going to I feel guilty that I'm here this week. And,
yes.
But it's but they know that I want to be with them. You know what I mean?
Yes,
so I think that's a good way to kind of sometimes help shake the guilt.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
This has
you,
been
Laurette. You
a
are an
pleasure.
inspiration.
Oh, thank
An
you.
inspiration. And you are changing the food industry for the better. And it is really exciting to watch it happen. And so many people can say thank you because bad ingredients are really going out and good flavoring is going in.
And we got to feed the world.
We
you
do.
and I both.
We do.
We do. We got this.
So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.